Thanks everybody for joining. Again, my name is Rose from the Product Marketing Alliance. I'm just going to give a quick run through and then introduce you to your fantastic host for today. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I really hope you get the absolute best out of today's session, and it's going to be jam-packed with tips, tricks, ideas and strategies. So feel free to ask any and all questions that you have to our fantastic host, Zen. Best way to do this is during his presentation, I would keep your mic muted whilst you're not speaking. And then when you want to add to the discussion or when Zen opens it up to questions, you can either ask them at any point throughout the session in the chat box, or at that point, feel free to kind of interact and, unmute your mic. And we really want to make this session, interactive and make sure you're tailoring the experience to your role. So yeah, definitely feel free to ask us some questions, and I hope you really enjoy it. Just one little thing to note is that we are going to be recording the session. The vast majority of the recording will be the slide deck, but just a heads up that this is being recorded, and it will be made available to our Product Marketing Alliance members on demand after the event. So if anybody has any questions about that, then let me know. I will be putting my contact details in the chat in a second. But yeah, that's really it. All that's left to do is introduce our fantastic host. We are joined by Zen Orr from Pricing is a Thing for this fantastic workshop on pricing, the concepts, guidelines, and blueprint. So Zen is the founder and chief pricing and monetization officer at Pricing is a Thing, a boutique consultancy agency delivering pricing as a service. A little bit more about Zen. He meditates regularly, plays chess with people around the globe, and he makes some pretty good hummus. So I'm sure you're going to get to know him much better throughout this session. But yeah, over to you, Zen. And once we're underway and all happy, I will be heading out. But if there's any questions, like I said, I'll put all my contact details in the chat box for everybody afterwards. So enjoy and have a great session.
Thank you, Rose, and welcome and thank you everyone for coming to this pricing workshop. As Rose said, my name is Zen, and I hope to not bore you too much today. Let's quickly go over the agenda for today. I'll start with introducing myself just in the context of what do I know and why should I teach anyone anything about pricing. We will then quickly go to more interesting stuff like what is pricing and understanding the pricing frame of mind. Then we'll go to the blueprint, which is the introduction to value-based pricing. Then we'll discuss some main methods, tips and tricks to start your pricing journey. And we'll finish off with general approach and recommended resources for further learning. You will need a barcode scanner for this workshop because most of the activities are going to be done with websites and apps that use a barcode. And let's quickly just jump into the first one. So before I bore you with some information about myself, if you could please either go to menti.com and use this code, or you can scan the barcode, or you can use this link. Please join the app and tell me a bit about yourself, starting with where you are at the moment. Oh, this is interesting. Cool. So this is awesome. I'm just waiting to see if there's any other Aussies here, or if I'm the only representation. Cool. Okay, so 14 people all up joined. I think I'll quickly move to the next one. So moving on, and a bit about myself. Okay, so my background is actually, I have a degree in genetics research, microbiology, and statistics, which I use as the foundational statistical modeling I need in order to do my pricing work. I've also worked in operations, commercial analytics, procurement, deal negotiation, and pricing strategy in different industries, among which are IT, hospitality, petrol, and e-commerce. Within the pricing world, I am a recognized pricing and monetization mentor for the Boosting Female Founders initiative for the Australian government. By the way, if I didn't mention that, I live and work in Sydney, but I have customers worldwide. I give the pricing masterclass for product managers here at General Assembly. I work with charities and fundraisers like Our Big Kitchen and Impact for Women. I teach a 2-day pricing crash course for corporate training events. As we speak, I'm giving you this pricing workshop for the Product Marketing Alliance, and I work with different Aussie and international brands. In my time as a pricing consultant, I've had my share of great success, which taught me a lot. And oh, did I have some spectacular failures, which actually taught me even more. And I cook. Not sure how this is related to pricing, but hey, I enjoy it, so why not? Okay, moving on with the agenda, let's see if we can discuss what is pricing. So in order to start that, let's take a quick poll. And again, you can go to menti.com and use the code, type in the link, or just scan the barcode. And please answer the poll, what is pricing in your opinion? Okay, this is awesome. I'm happy to see that the word value is definitely in there. Cost plus, no. Art and science, yes. Good on you. Difficult, yes, sometimes. Headache, definitely. Fantastic. Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your thoughts with me. And just our working definition here at pricing is a thing. We define pricing as the practices, tools, frameworks used in setting, presenting, measuring, and adjusting the ways we capture the value of a product or service. This can be analyzed using quantitative or qualitative methods focused on strategy or tactics with governance and admin system. Now, I would like to start off with discussing what is your pricing challenge. I think you're familiar with the system by now. Please scan the barcode or type this link into your browser and let's kick off your company's #1 pricing challenge. If you don't work for a company or you don't have your own business, feel free to just think of something that you can relate to and might have some knowledge into the value deliverables. I'll give it a few more seconds and then I'll move on. And I like how, in terms of how you would rank your understanding of pricing concepts and methodology, we've got a very nice distribution going on. I see a couple of us are experiencing the joy of pricing wars with price, or let's call it people who use price as a market differentiator. That's always a pain. Nice. And I like the quantifying the market's perception of value. This is really awesome. And soon you'll know why I like it so much. Okay, I'll jump back in, and for behavior design reasons, I had to make the next step separate from the first one. So please think about your answer and then continue the answer this second one. So please scan the barcode and we'll discuss how you can categorize your challenge. Does that fall into strategic, tactic, lack of data, or lack of pricing knowledge? Please scan the barcode and we'll jump right in. This is some interesting distribution there. So strategy seems to be the major pain point with pricing so far. I'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll move on. Okay. So we'll get back to this later, but for now, if you are new to the workforce, then it may seem at first that everybody has a say on pricing. So you join the company, so many people there. If you're the pricing guy or girl, then everybody has a say. And this is just a little cheat sheet I made for you with some pricing related roles and the actions associated with them. And we will use a sexy product, for example, which is denture cleaning tablets. Okay, so if this is our product, then the pricing strategy, people will decide things like how to go to market, maybe something like start with a small pack size, which is a high dollar value for quantity, set a high benchmark with the customers, and then follow with a saving pack size, maybe a few months later across the road. The pricing tactics, people will decide things like price presentation, maybe use charm pricing, so the $0.99, maybe bundle with a protective case or another product, and offer in a limited quantity, so going for the scarcity bias. Revenue management people will go as far as suggesting things like sell as a loose powder because then people will use more. Customer side operations teams can decide things like, oh, let's break the tablets in half, same value, half the cost, while procurement teams will sometimes pressure you and say, no, no, we want the same value for half the price. How can you defend your value with an aggressive procurement team strategy? And our deal negotiation team, so this is going back to our side of the game, can do things like, okay, we will deliver once a month, so frequency, a bulk package, so we have a quantity commitment, for 3 years, time commitment, and then for that, you get an X% discount of recommended retail price. Okay, so these are roughly the kind of people you can see around pricing, not including sales, marketing, finance, and obviously C-level executives. Okay, jumping back into the agenda, time to discuss some examples and get a sharper mental image of what pricing can do when properly used. So this is a research done by Dan Ariely, and in this research, they tested students' reaction to aspirin as a headache medication. And in this research, they've just tested how many people felt better after given the aspirin. And the first trial, 85% people reported feeling better after taking the aspirin when all they knew about the aspirin was not a brand, but just the price point of $1.50. The second group of subjects were given exactly the same tablets, but they were told that the tablets now cost only 20 cents. And lo and behold, only 61% reported feeling better after taking the aspirin. The funny bit is, so that's 28% difference, and it was all placebo. So other than the price, there was nothing to influence the effectiveness of the drug. Another fantastic example is from an industry that is well known for its fuzzy relationship between price and value, which is the food and wine industry. And this is in a famous New York restaurant, which is called Balthazar. So in Balthazar, and you can follow the link here if you want to read the whole story, one table ordered a bottle of wine of $2,000. Another table, which is a young couple, ordered the $18 Pinot Noir. And yeah, you guessed it right. The restaurant switched the two bottles. 20 minutes into the dinner, no one noticed, nobody complained. Everybody praised the wine in both tables. And this is the ethical bit, the GM, so the general manager for the restaurant, decided to come clean and reveal his mistake to the tables. He told them, and only then did people realize, oh yeah, actually, we knew something was off. But moral of the story is, price doesn't just reflect perceived value, price can influence perceived value. Okay, so price and value perception are correlated, but do we all make the same mental calculations? Do we all value things exactly the same? So if we want to discuss value perception and willingness to pay, when you buy a car, you have a high willingness to pay for a steering wheel. You will never buy a car without one. But, so I said high value perception, but are you willing to pay extra just to get that steering wheel? and probably you won't. So this is what we call high value perception, low willingness to pay. What about items like airbags and security features for you and your family? This should get higher value perception and probably higher willingness to pay from at least some of you. What about some premium features? Do you think that everybody has the same value perception for this? Or do you think everybody will have the same willingness to pay for something like that, like this luxurious picnic kit? So let's practice this mode of thinking. And I want you to please think about your business. And for the first slide, write down 3 features or services or products and remember which is which. So scan the barcode, fill the questionnaire. You'll be asked to put down 3 features. And then on the second slide, you'll be asked to rank them by value perception and willingness to pay. And then we'll go over the results and see if we can identify some clusters. This is interesting. So either there's a general bias in the room that everything with a high value perception should also have a high willingness to pay, or we are experiencing some miraculous statistical feat where for some reason nobody chose another mix of willingness to pay and value perception. So we all focus on these. Interesting. Nice. This is really cool. I'll give it just a few more seconds. So nice. Okay, that's a better distribution now. Thank you. Oh, so cool. Nice. So this looks more like a real world case. Fantastic. Okay, so if you need to remember just one slide from today, is this one, in this about the perception gap. So this is you and me and everybody, and we work very hard on our products and services. Now, usually we are subject matter experts in this field, and the problem is our customers don't care about this. All our customers care about is the value they get from our products and services. And this is the cause of a big disconnect between companies and customers, because companies usually focus on this and they are having a very hard time in measuring this, in measuring value perception by the customers. Pricing people, and we're a bunch of Muppets, all of us, what we know how to do is we know how to measure value perception, quantify it, and convert it into revenue. This is in a nutshell the practice of pricing. Now, how do we do that? We'll start with the basic then. When you display this on your website, yes, at first, this is all your customer sees. But then they go deeper, and so should we. So with this obvious and a very well-known example from Dropbox, if you look here and you ask people what is pricing, and they answer this, so this is what we call the price point. This is actually the last thing we do when we do a pricing model. What you can see here is a fantastic mix of price points, metrics, so users per month and starting at how many users, and tier structure, 1, 2, 3. You can see a very nice use of value communication targeting specific segments. So in the standard case, the research that Dropbox did probably revealed that people value ease of use and sharing and collaboration tools, while people in this cluster actually valued sophisticated controls and security features. Notice that if you're using Dropbox, you get both features in all of the tiers. This is just value messaging to convert the right target audience for each cluster. You can also see that there's fantastic work done with feature segmentation. So monetizing on different needs and willingness to pay by different market segments. So all this research of breaking down your value deliverables and realizing who is willing to pay more for what, and then packaging that into tiers, that's a fantastic work of pricing here. Another bit of the pricing work is fantastic, is the price differentiation based on long-term commitment. If you're willing to pay for a year in advance or just bill monthly, then you will see different price points. And then there's an amazing price presentation work done here. If you notice, they're using the .50 charm pricing here, but they don't use it here. Why not? So not only do they demonstrate a 20% more expensive price, but notice a price point with a reducing impact versus an increasing impact. So this is a way of presenting a price as if it is bigger. And this is a way of presenting a price as if it is smaller. They want you to experience the pain of pricing more when you're just billing monthly. They want you to commit. Nice. Okay, so we now know that pricing requires some complex decision-making processes. And when you get to that stage, I would like you to please listen to this brilliant man. And this is Edward Deming. He's a data scientist, he's well known in the industry, and he's always quoted for saying, without data, you're just another person with an opinion. You can use this quote at your job once you need to convince your boss that you need to do market research or at least a micro testing. Okay, remember this one? Now, how do we do it? Well, we start with focusing on the product, and then we drill down. So we break the product or the service into a list of services and features, and then we do what we call a mapping exercise. So we're looking deep into the relationship of value and focus on understanding the customer's value perception. So when we do mapping, we actually look for each feature And we do that with either surveys or market research and testing. And for each of these features, we map value perception, willingness to pay, and price sensitivity. Now, when you do that, you need to always remember when thinking about your customers, not all your customers are the same. Not everybody values the same things, and even those that value the same things don't value them exactly the same way. So if we go back to the agenda, I'd like to discuss some main methods now. And open this link if you need to convert your currency to US dollars, because I really want everybody to use the same coin, please. So please do a coin conversion before we go to the next one. So just open this. And this is just Googling, convert plus USD. So this is our introduction to segmentation, and there's going to be some music. So if you're using speakers, there's going to be 20 seconds of music now. To be honest, I can go forever with this. So this is, if you don't know this is the Rocking 1000, not 100, 1000. And how much would you pay for a Rocking 1000 ticket in US dollars? Please scan the barcode or go to menti.com, use this link and fill in how much would you pay right now to get your ticket for the Rocking 1000 in US dollars. Do the conversion first, please. Nice. I wonder if this is benchmarking or just different willingness to pay, but definitely awesome distribution here. Please go on. I'm going to give it a few more seconds. Okay, so this is really interesting to see that even though this was an option, people actually mentioned this. And that's a very nice break by percentage. Cool, cool. So not everyone has the same value for the same things. And as you know, some want a Mercedes, some want a Toyota, some just walk. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you through an introduction to segmentation. And if you're not familiar with this, this is a demand curve. So what it shows is the dependency of quantity of items sold and its dependency in price. Namely, as we raise the price, quantity sold usually goes down, so we sell less. As we lower the price, quantity sold usually goes up, we sell more. There are some caveats to that. This is not always true, obviously. So for example, with this price point, this will be the price, this is the price point, this is the quantity of items sold. And with this price point, that would be the price, so lower than before, and probably in here, so a higher quantity. Now, when we look into that, and I want to dive a bit deeper into that and see exactly what we can learn from each of these areas. So examining this one price point, this would be what we call captured value. This is the amount of revenue we've been able to generate from selling at this price point, and at that quantity. Now, here's a question to you, and I'll give you like a couple of seconds to think about that. What would you call this segment? No need to answer on chat or anything, but just I'll give you a second to challenge yourself. And we call this the uncaptured value or the uncaptured segment. How would you call this area? I'll give you one more second. Okay, so this is lost customers. This is a group of customers who didn't buy because we couldn't offer them the right price. Now, in this example, we only offered our product one version, one price. Remember, our customers are not the same. They don't value the same things the same way. So let's see what happens if theoretically, and this is obviously a theoretical graph, what happens if we offer more price points, more versions? So ask yourself, how many price points do you see in this graph? We have 3, and then, by the way, this is trigonometry, just the basics, but you can see that the captured value increased by 50%, then the uncaptured value was reduced by 33%, but the better part is that we've actually managed to reduce the lost customers segment by 75%. So we didn't just make more revenue if we managed to do a proper segmentation practice, we actually increased our market share, which is the best thing that happens when you are able to deploy proper segmentation. And let's just make sure the questions so far. And feel free to jump in because we're only 20 people in the room. Feel free to jump in if you have any questions you want to raise by now. If you want to put your speaker on before I move on. Any questions or something? And time to discuss some research methods that we use to test hypotheses in market. We present different versions of the product or the thing we test to our customers, and we measure their reaction. So with A/B testing, for examples, this can be either a click or an eye tracking, conversion, or many, many more. And we then measure the different conversions by the different things we test, and then we know which is the optimized one or the better one. When you're doing A/B testing, please remember it has to be randomized in order to avoid bias, but you can randomize within a segment that you want to test. And also with A/B testing, you have to focus on 2 variants compared. Testing 3 variants with A/B testing is much more difficult. If you want to try an awesome platform to play with A/B testing, very effective, we use it a lot, go to optimizely.com, and I hope you're going to enjoy this one. I spend hours on this one. Okay. The next tool we use all the time with pricing research is conjoint analysis. And with conjoint analysis, we can actually tackle how people value different attributes and to figure out the optimum combination of attributes. So when you have a new app or digital product with lots of features and you need to decide which features goes in and which goes out, and then when you need to explain why that was the case, then you can use conjoint analysis. Conjoint is awesome, but it takes a lot of time. And most businesses outsource the conjoint testing to specialized services. There are three main types of conjoint analysis. There's the ranking-based conjoint, rating-based, and choice-based. And if you like the statistical practice of research, then I think you will find this to be a very interesting path you can take in your pricing journey. And again, a website I recommend you familiarize yourself with is conjointly.com, an amazing resource if you want to dive deeper into conjoint analysis and the amazing, amazing benefit you can get from using this tool. And just remember, when dealing with research, we are not asking our customers, we are testing them. Big, big difference. I'd like to help the ones who are either small business owners or new to their workplace and they need to use low budget research. Still fantastic benefit to be had with Facebook and LinkedIn polls, Google Forms, apps and services all over the place. Website plugins, you can get A/B testing plugins for WordPress for nothing, just on the store, and email research, email marketing, and obviously the good old pick up the phone, talk to 5 or 10 of your customers. This is something that unfortunately, I don't think many companies are doing enough of. And some quick research tips. Start with a general approach and zoom in. Never start with a very, very focused test because you might be biased and missing on some opportunities. Trust, but verify. When you talk to people, when you test people, when you look at data, sometimes there are mistakes, sometimes people are biased, sometimes research is biased. Trust, but verify. And then if your research doesn't surprise you, then your research is wrong. If your research supports your hypothesis 100%, it's exactly what you think it's going to prove, you're probably biased and so is your research. The sign of a very good research, it reveals at least one thing you couldn't imagine that you're going to reveal from this research. And as mentioned, don't ask people, test them. Don't pick up the phone and ask your customer, how much are you willing to pay? Because what people do and what people say they do is not the same. Okay, so I just want to mention something that we see too often here at Pricing is a Thing, as this is customers asking us to redesign their pricing model. And when asked how they came up with their current model, they say they just looked at the market leader, copied their pricing model, and then reduced the price to be a bit more competitive. So why do we strongly advise against that? Why not copy your competitor's price? When you copy your competitor's price or the market leader, you need to remember, when we design pricing models, we design them for the companies so they can charge for what they do best. When you then use the same model for your company, you are now charging for what they do best. Try and build your pricing model around your strength. Don't play their game. Okay, we're going to do a very quick jump into Van Westendorp. This is a price sensitivity test which has been around since 1976. Due to the lack of time, don't go to the form. I'll just share some mock results with you. So basically, I'm not going to do the calculating cumulative frequencies just now. I will show you a pre-made plotted data, but it's nice to see that. So when you're doing the Van Westendorp, usually you will get a graph that looks like this. So we start with the questionnaire, then we calculate the cumulative frequencies, and we evaluate the series of the 4 cumulative distributions, one for each question. Then we plot them as price sensitivity over frequency. So this will be the price. This is obviously the frequency. And the interesting bit with Van Westendorp is where the distribution plots cross each other. So for example, where cheap and expensive meet, this is the point of marginal cheapness. So the lowest acceptable price range. And then where too cheap meets expensive, this is the lowest price and when too expensive and cheap cross, this is the highest price in acceptable range. This is our acceptable range. With this mock data, the fantastic price for pizza would be $17.5. Again, if you want to take a screenshot, do the survey yourself, experience it, maybe take the data and play with it. It will give you a very nice hands-on experience with Van Westendorp. And just quickly going to the blueprint, what happens to your price after you've done pricing? Then incorporates the specials and deal negotiation and discounts, updates and new features and a new version, a new product and service. There's some competition going and cannibalism, obviously, with other products and services you offer. There's market dynamics. You need to raise the price because somebody told you. Slow adoption rate, what do you do? Boosting financial reports for different reasons. That goes to pricing sometimes. Board meetings. Demand spike. How do you manage a demand spike with pricing? Pre-IPO stages require some pricing work. And the worst one you can ever do with pricing is set and forget. This is just a cheat sheet I made for you with common pricing methods. Obviously, we will not be able to cover this. Take a screenshot, Google these things. It will give you hours of fun and understanding some basic pricing tools you can use. My request to you is just avoid pricing overload. If you're designing your first pricing model, no need to shove 50 different things into that. Be smart, less is more. Just design a simple pricing model that works. So to answer a question, is pricing science or art? And I've seen that in the word cloud, so thank you for that. Pricing is based on science. So there's a lot of statistical analysis and data analytics involved. And as you've noticed with the previous slide, there are hundreds of rules and methods, tactics, and frameworks. Choosing what tool to use, when to use it, and how to use it, this is the artsy bit. You need to understand the rules before you can bend them. And oh, do we love bending the rules with pricing. Let's go back to center. If you remember, we're trying to look at value communication, value perception by your customers. And I'd like to introduce you to the Dullan and Gervil's pricing thermometer. Google this, read about it, very interesting. Especially in discussions with marketing people. So we're on a dollar scale, and the pricing thermometer starts with understanding your COGS. Obviously, not a very easy or very relevant questions when dealing with online services or data services, but still a good place to start. Now, you need to be able to measure and understand the perceived value. The perceived value is when your customers, is what your customer thinks they are getting for your products and services. And somewhere within this range, you want to allocate your price. If you allocate your price higher than that, then you consider to be expensive. If you allocate your price lower than that, then you consider to be cheap. And we can go back to the demand curve. And the gap is between these two, so your perceived value and the price, is what we call the customer's incentive to buy. If the gap is big, then I, the customer, say, oh, this is a very good deal. I should buy one, maybe even two. If it's a small gap, maybe I'll wait for a sale. Okay. This is what economics call true economic value. This is what you actually deliver to your customers. If you're an accountant or financial company, this is very easy to measure. For other products and services, takes a bit more time and effort. Now, obviously, we want to push the perceived value by our customers to be as close as we can to the true value. And this is what we call the marketing effort. And us pricing people join the marketing effort with this task of communicating value. This is where I believe most salespeople and pricing people can work together in order to get better results for the company. And that would be a good introduction to value-based pricing. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be happy to get a quick feedback for this presentation. This one is private and will not show results at the end, but please take a couple of seconds, scan the barcode, and let me know what you think. And then just before we finish, for those of you who want, there's a PMA special on my website, only if you scan the barcode. And if you have any questions, which I won't have time to answer today, then feel free to scan or email me, zen@pricingisthething.com, and I'll do my best to try and answer everybody within a reasonable amount of time. If you have any questions you want to ask now, I'm very happy to take some questions. Otherwise, if you're in a hurry for your next presentation, I'll be happy to get your email. Thank you so much for joining my presentation today, and I hope to hear more from you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.